All right, so everybody knows all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by the official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0, Johnny Cuba, European roots with a Caribbean soul. Hey, you can enjoy the Marlins tonight with a refreshing German lager in a can. Pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. Of course, always drink responsibly. And don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. And joining us here, we haven't spoken to him in a long time, but I mean, the timing is fantastic. Tommy Hutton, legendary Marlins color analyst, joining us here on ZASLOW Show 2.0. Tommy, always good to speak to you. It's great to talk to you now in face-to-face. This is one of, if not the only, I'm sure you could acknowledge this, one of the only great things that happened during COVID, which is now when we talk to each other, radio shows, TV shows, we get to do the Zoom. It's face-to-face, so this is wonderful. How are you today?
I'm doing good. You got me on Presidente when you were talking about your ad, because I think you can enjoy the Marlins right now, even without a Presidente, the way they're playing.
Well, I'll tell you, isn't the timing great, Tommy, where, pretty much all of South Florida's attention the last couple months has been this historic run the Panthers were making and this great run the Heat were making. And now those are over, and the Marlins are sitting 11 games over 500, first best record in, I think, since 2011. They've won 5 games in a row. The timing couldn't be better for the Marlins to be doing this right now, Tommy.
No, absolutely right. And my hat's off to the Panthers and to the Heat. I mean, it was a fun run for both of those franchises. But you're right. During that time, the Marlins were just kind of going back and forth, winning a few, losing a few. All of a sudden, they've really put things together well with this winning streak, taking themselves 11 games over 500. You mentioned before, you got to go back to 2011. That was before they were even the Miami Marlins. They were the Florida Marlins at that time. So it's been a while. It's been exciting, just because we've had a chance to see this team and the culture that Kim Ng and that Skip Schumacher have put together. We've seen it come together to this point. And these guys come to the ballpark every day. They expect to win. They don't know how they're going to win because they've won in many different ways. And for us as broadcasters, I know I don't go on the road anymore, but with Jeff Nelson and Rod Allen and Gabby on the road with Paul, and I get to do some home games with Paul Severino. We have fun coming to the ballpark. It's much more fun as broadcasters too.
So let's do it like this, Tommy. For folks who have not been paying full attention, or maybe not any attention until right now, to the Marlins.
Don't get me started.
Well, so let's do this, Tommy. What have those people been missing the first couple months of the season?
Well, you always hear from fans that they want to see, I think fans want to see players who kind of play the way they did maybe as kids and stuff like that. And that's the way this club's playing. There's not a whole lot of superstars. You got guys like Birdie and Hampson and Jonathan Davis. People around the major leagues might not be sure of these names. But then you have a guy, first of all, if you don't come out and want to watch Luis Arias hit for one game, buy a ticket to see him hit, then there's something wrong with you. I mean, this guy's had 3 5-hit games in a period of a month.
Yeah.
And he had one last night. So he's fun to watch. Jorge Soler, who had injury problems last year, his back gave him problems. He has become a much better hitter. 21 home runs. The only 2 people in Major League Baseball with more home runs are Pete Alonso and Shohei Ohtani. More home runs than Jorge Soler. So you mix those 2 guys, and with the way the others have come together, it seems like every night they just figure out a way of how to get some runs to cross the plate. Might not be on base hits. They might come in on a wild pitch or a fielder's choice, but they find ways. Last night they drove in runs. They were 10 for 21, I think, with runners in scoring position.
You know what I loved about last night? So I'm watching last night, and a part of baseball, and I know they're trying to fix this right now with a bunch of the new, rules that they added going into this season. And one of the things that I've missed over the years is I want to see the guys running the bases. I like first to third. It doesn't all need to be home runs and strikeouts for me. I miss guys running from first to third. I miss the ball going through the infield and you get a base hit, you know? And I feel we saw a lot of that last night. Now, especially once the game started to get out of hand, and I think it was like 4 straight singles through the infield when the second baseman was pitching for Toronto. But are we seeing more of that where we're getting the singles, we're getting the doubles, we're getting first to third? Are we seeing more of that this year?
Yeah, without question. And I think the rule changes have certainly been a favor of fans because you see action.
Yeah.
I mean, before, as you said, with shifts, you'd see a guy really smoke a ball and it'd be right at the third baseman who was playing in shallow right field, and it'd be an out. Now you see that ball go through. And that's what fans wanted. They wanted action. Wasn't so much now because of that, it has shortened the game times, but that really wasn't the issue with the fans. They just wanted the pace, the action. And I think with pitchers getting the ball, having 15 or 20 seconds to deliver, I think that's helped. So I think the new rule changes have really benefited a lot of people, and certainly the fans. And I think it's benefited the type of team the Marlins have, who can get those base hits in the holes between short and third or up the middle.
Let's talk about Luis Arraez here. I know he's been a batting champion, all right, but hitting at which he's exactly 400 now after the 5 hits last night, but hovering around 400, being at 400 in mid-June. I mean, Tommy, it's kind of shocking, right?
Yeah, it's really shocking. I mean, when the Marlins made the trade and acquired Luis Arraez for Pablo Lopez, I was happy about that. I mean, Pablo is a great kid, a terrific pitcher, but for me, I would always take an everyday player in a trade who can impact a game every night, as opposed to a starting pitcher who can only impact your game every 5th day. So I was happy about that. I had no idea the type of player that Luis Arraez is and has shown us. He's infectious. He loves being at the ballpark. He's got a tremendous routine, which he goes through day in and day out. And it's proven that when you see, it's like he has a magic wand up there when he swings a bat. And it's like you're disappointed and you can't figure out how he doesn't get a hit. And that's what was amazing in Seattle when he had that 0 for 15 period.
Right.
Everybody was kind of scratching their head going, what's wrong with Luis? But Paul Severino and I talked to him yesterday around the cage, and I told him, I said, I wasn't worried at all, Luis. I wasn't worried at all. And this was before he had the 5-hit game last night.
You know, Kim Ng got a lot of criticism last year at the deadline for not moving Pablo Lopez. A lot of teams wanted him, and it didn't work out. I guess she didn't find the deal she wanted. And then in the offseason, moved Pablo Lopez for Luis Arraez. Tommy, Kim Ng got that one 1,000% right.
Absolutely. And give her credit for that. And again, nothing against Pablo. He's having a solid year with Minnesota. But you can't argue what you have at second base in Luis Arraez.
So is something that the Marlin fan can take some positivity. I mean, look, the team's playing great, but an angle that they could look at and feel good about, is it that the team is 11 games over 500 and we have not gotten Cy Young Sandy Alcantara yet this year. So should the Marlins fan look at it like that, saying, hey, eventually he's going to figure it out, and then we're really going to be cooking with gas?
Well, I like that angle, and I think it's an angle that he will eventually figure it out. Physically, there really is nothing wrong with Sandy Alcantara, because the velocity, the spin rates, all that stuff is up to norm where he was last year. It's, I think, a little bit mental with him right now. He's such a competitor. He takes a lot of it on his shoulders, and when he knows he's not pitching well and performing well for his team, I think he takes a lot on that personally. But there has to be, I think, and I'm not a pitching coach, and I'm sure Mel Stottlemyre Jr. is working with him on this, there has to be something mechanical that you watch him pitch, and a lot of his changeups, which is his good pitch, are left up in the strike zone. And his changeup up in the strike zone is like a mediocre fastball. It's like 93 94 miles an hour. And that's where he's been getting hurt a lot. So hopefully he can fix that. And if he fixes that, it's like acquiring a Cy Young pitcher.
Yeah. Speaking of acquiring, so I think there's some Marlins fans out there. I'm one of those Marlins fans who, when we get to next month and we're approaching the trade deadline, there's a lot of Marlins fans who maybe they're not ready to buy in yet. It's just mid-June. Maybe, this is not going to last. And I think there's a lot of Marlins fans out there, and I could be one of them, where, what I want to see? I want to see a team who's clearly in position right now to go to the trade deadline and do something big. So this team looks like they're in a position where, hey, let's show the guys in a month from now, let's show the guys in the clubhouse, we believe in you guys. Let's open up our wallet a little bit if we're the owner. Let's do something big here. It feels like this team could be headed in that direction, Tommy, yes?
Well, I agree, and here's the interesting story with the competitive balance of the leagues, both leagues. There are a lot of teams that will be in contention for a playoff spot when it comes that time, and then you start looking at players that are available. Do you want to get a certain player and give up this player? I look at it this way: in a couple of weeks, I would say a couple of weeks, because I think he's supposed to be starting some rehab games. The Marlins may make a big deal. They'll get Jazz Chisholm Jr. back.
Yeah.
And I know they've played well without Jazz, and people will say, well, that's fine. Let him keep out for a while. But you need a guy like that because, number one, he's a left-handed bat. Number two, he's got speed. You get him at the top of the lineup with the way Luis Ariz is hitting, and all of a sudden you've made that tremendous improvement in your offense. So unless it's a perfect deal, because a lot of teams are going to be looking for things, because as I said, with the balance in the schedule and with the balance in all the teams that can make postseason, there are going to be a lot of teams looking for relief help, looking for maybe a starter. And I think if there is anybody that they could look for, I don't have particular names, but you might want a power bat, and it has to be a left-handed bat, and that's where I go back to Jazz Chisholm. He's that left-handed power bat.
I think this is a great situation that Jazz is going to step back into because, like I said, for instance, last year, and, you would say Jazz Chisholm's the Marlins' best player. And my outlook on that was, Jazz is a nice player, but if Jazz is your best player, your team's not going to be that good. And now he's going to jump into the lineup with this year's team. He's not their best player anymore, And if you're adding Jazz into this group of guys, hey, you got a pretty nice mix here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my opinion, I think when Jazz comes back, he has to show a little humbleness as he steps into this ball club, because it's not – Jazz Chisholm right now is not the face of the Marlins.
Right.
And he can't take that when he jumps back in. He has to just slide in, fit in nicely, maybe in between Ariz and Soler, and just go about his business and do what he can do. He was improving as a center fielder. He was playing center field really well, and he had started to swing the bat pretty well too.
I was a big fan of Don Mattingly. Skip Schumacher comes in, is obviously doing a terrific job. What do we like about the new manager so far? What has he done different, let's say, than Mattingly had been doing?
Well, I think he's brought a youth part of it. Skip's just 43. I believe Donnie's 63, 62, 63. So he's brought a little bit of that. He's brought a little bit of his transition from a player to a manager, because it wasn't that long ago that he was a player. There are a number of pitchers every once in a while that the Marlins will face that will look at numbers and see what Skip Schumacher did against that pitcher. I think he's brought that. He's brought not that Don Mattingly didn't, but he's gotten this winning attitude. And these guys, especially the way they've been playing lately, feel when they get to the ballpark every day, they have a chance to win. And the other thing he's preached is, if you don't win, learn something from that game that you lost that maybe happened in the game that you could improve on, and take that over to the next game. So that's something he's done. I think tactically, I think we've seen a few more hit and run situations. We've seen a little more bunting, but again, that may be part of the new rule changes. Mm-hmm. But one thing with Donnie, we didn't see many hit and runs, And we've seen that a number of times with Skip Schumacher. Because they've hit into a lot of double plays, there are situations you got to get movement on the bases, and I think we've seen that more too.
Tommy, I know I already mentioned the rules changes going into this year, but specifically about that, what have you enjoyed the most with the new rule changes? Were there any that you thought this is not going to work and your mind has been changed? You're surprised that it's working out so well. Give me some thoughts there.
The first surprise that comes to mind is I'm surprised at the base stealing, that the limit of pitchers throwing over. I mean, I think there are more stolen bases, but it's not astronomical. It's not tremendous. So I'm a little surprised at that. I love the fact that a guy, as we talked about earlier, a left-handed batter, let's say, can just crush a ball hard on the ground to the right side, and it goes into right field for a base hit. Yeah. I love that. I love the pace of the games, and selfishly, as a broadcaster, I love the fact that the games are a little faster.
It's so good. It's so, you don't have to apologize for that, Tommy. It's so good. Come on. I look at my watch and the game's 2 hours and 5 minutes. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I think we had a game earlier this year, one of Sandy's games. It was an hour and 59 minutes. So
you're in the car at 9 p.m. heading back home already, Tommy.
Hey, I've made it up to Palm Beach County before 10 o'clock a couple of times this year.
It's so good. All right, Tommy, on the way out. And the Marlins right now, in the middle of a homestand right now, you got the Toronto Blue Jays, and then you got the Pittsburgh Pirates. Camp Day is on Wednesday, so there'll be a lot of screaming kids. I know my son, he's going there with the Jays on Wednesday. He'll be there. Tommy, I'm going to let you have a moment here. Talk to the fans. The team's 11 games over. They've won 5 in a row. You got a homestand here this week. Tell the fans you got to come out to the ballpark.
Well, I mentioned that last night. And by the way, I think my two of my oldest granddaughters are coming Wednesday also.
Okay.
So here's a couple of things, and then I'll get to your question. The Marlins have a stretch, 19 games now because of last night, with some pretty good games. They've got this series against Toronto, then they have Pittsburgh, then they go to Boston, they go to Atlanta, a key road trip. Then they come back home for St. Louis and I believe Philadelphia. So that's 20 games, 19 more now leading up to the All-Star break. If they play well during those games, they can finish at the break 12, 14, 15 games over 500. And that's certainly where you want to be. So if you want to find some excitement as a fan, and Paul Severino and I talked about this last night, this is a time to come out. You got nothing holding you back. You don't have to worry about homework for the kids. Just get them ready for camp maybe once in a while. You don't have to worry about watching the Heat. You don't have to worry about watching the Panthers. You got your Miami Marlins playing, and they're playing the best ball I've seen in a long time.
Great job, Tommy. Thanks a lot for spending some time here with us this morning. And like I said, just the timing is so fantastic because normally the basketball, the hockey ends, and it's like, all right, we're counting down the days until the football gets going. But this Marlin team looks like they're easily going to take us, through the rest of the summer because they're playing really fun baseball. It's really good timing.
Yeah, it's almost like you want to say, hey, why not? The Panthers did it. The Heat did it. Why not the Marlins?
But the Marlins, let's not lose the World Series in 5 games. Panthers losing 5, Heat losing 5. Let's not make it a trifecta, right?
I'll agree with you on that one.
Great job, Tommy. Thank you all for joining us. All right.
Thanks, Jazz. Appreciate it.